On this episode of China Uncensored, China is building more islands.
Aruba, Jamaica, ooh, I wanna take ya.
Hi, welcome to China Uncensored. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. You know, a few folks have been upset recently about China building islands in the disputed South China Sea. And by a few folks, I mean the Philippines, Malaysia, Vietnam, Brunei, and Taiwan. That's why so many people were relieved when they learned that in August, China's foreign minister announced China would finally stop its island building operations. What they might not have considered is that he made that announcement at an ASEAN summit while being surrounded by delegates from those upset countries. What do you think he's gonna say? It's like when I went to that Red Sox game in Boston. What? I'm totally a Red Sox fan. That's why I wasn't all that surprised when I saw this on Tuesday.
This is apparently the third airstrip that China has built in the South China Sea.
Yes, why build 2 islands in violation of international law when you can build 3? That's not a rhetorical question.
Once they're established and once they have these well-entrenched military bases in the South China Sea, it's going to be very, very difficult to turn that back.
But it doesn't stop there. No. China isn't satisfied with pumping sand to build fake islands. I mean, you can only build those where there's already a submerged shallow reef. That's why China is now considering a plan to build floating islands in the South China Sea. Yes, 2 Chinese companies are pitching million-ton floating sea bases. But don't worry, China is committed to peaceful development. That's why the proposal is for multi-use. You know, shipping, power generation, and tourism. Wait, tourism? Yes! Blue skies, turquoise waters, white sandy beaches. Let's take a look at my new floating tropical paradise. That doesn't look like a tropical paradise. That's better. These things are called, I kid you not, very large floating structures. And they are very large. The proposed Chinese VLFSs would be made of semi-submergible hull sections that could be snapped together, like Legos. And the largest piece would be almost 3,000 feet long. That's more than twice as long as the largest structure currently floating on the ocean, Shell Australia's Prelude natural gas platform. And not only that, but according to one of the companies, the VLFSs would also be mobile with the capacity to travel up to 11 miles per hour. Of course, some people are concerned that in addition to tourism, they could also be used for military purposes. After all, compared to a traditional aircraft carrier, a VLFS could carry significantly more planes and supplies. And one design has a runway that's more than a mile long, meaning bigger aircraft could land as well. But come on, when has China ever shown itself to be militaristic? Oh, right. But seriously, how close is China to actually building these floating islands of mass destruction? I mean, mass tourism. Well, to put it in context, China has never even built a regular aircraft carrier. I mean, China does have that old Soviet carrier that they bought and refurbished, but like buying used electronics on Craigslist, it's not without its problems. So on second thought, I think I might head down to Kokomo instead. So what do you think? How would you spend a vacation on one of these floating islands? Leave your comments below, and if you like this episode, subscribe for more. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time. In this footage posted last Friday, a demolition crew comes to tear down these villagers' homes to make way for a new development. But they weren't expecting a guy with a rocket launcher. As I always say, good artists copy, great artists steal. Which means there's no greater artist than...
We sampled them from them, but it's not the same bass line.
Sorry, I was actually talking about
economic espionage by members of the Chinese military.